Hello guys, welcome to another NXPTO video, and in this video we're going to be talking about inflation, unemployment rate and interest rate in three specific markets, which is the US market, the Eurozone and the Great Britain. So this is a chart that we are using to establish if inflation already peaked, like in previous recession, at least regarding 1980, 2000, 2008. And we are using the RSI in this case to establish when the interest rate, in this case the red line, have reached its highest level. So every time the interest rate reaches highest level, the RSI indicator, in this case the orange line, reaching between 80 and 100 level, in this case the red line, and start to coming down, it shows that inflation already peaked and is starting to reverse to the downside. The same thing happened in the US in 1980s recession, at least for 2000 and 2008 the same thing happened. We can see that each time in a previous recession, interest rate was actually already high, and when the inflation peaked, interest rate was actually reversing to the downside, while unemployment rate on the blue chart starts to go up. So inflation starts to go down, unemployment rate starts to go high, and inflation tends to come down. Interest rates start to come down at the same time. That, the US inflation was around 9+%, and it started to come down with the RSI also reaching the 80 levels, in this case the 80 levels, and coming to, in this case, already broke the 50 level, which is a sign, a very strong sign that the inflation is already reversing and is trying to come down to the 2% zone. The same thing happened. So every time the inflation starts coming down, breaks the 50 area, in this case start to reach 80, between 80 and 100, start to coming down and break the 50 level. That means inflation is likely to come down below the 2% area. But in 2022, we can see that inflation already broke. It started to reverse, already broke the 50 zone, but the only difference is that we still have interest rates going up in the US. In this case, we are at the 5.25%, while unemployment rate is not showing signs of reversing to the upside. the blue chart is not reversing to the upside like it happened in 2008 and 2080s. So in the 80s, you can see inflation coming down, interest rates it tends to come down mostly, and unemployment rate start way up, the blue chart. 2023 recession in this case is showing a very different sign. So the unemployment rate is not showing that inflation is not corresponding to inflation starting to come down. So it's still, the market is very strong. The interest rate is still not showing signs of slowing down. And the last time inflation was this high in the US, we can refer to basically to the previous 2011, the 2000 recession in this case. So although inflation is coming down in the US, we still have a strong unemployment rate, which is low, very low, and interest rate is still showing signs of going up. We go now to the Eurozone, and we can see the same scenario, at least with the data we have available for the Euro area inflation rate year on year. We can see that in 2000 as well, the inflation in the Eurozone was at 3%, 3.3+%. Interest rate, of course, was already at this in this case at 10%. The interest rate was at 10%. But the moment with the RSI reaching the 80 and area, reaching 80, between 60 and 80 area, we can see inflation starting to come down, interest rate starting to come down, unemployment rate start going up. The same thing in 2008, interest rate peaked. It was around 4%. So the interest rate started to come down, inflation started to come down, unemployment rate started to go up. As you said previously, the same thing happened in the US. You have interest rates coming down in 2022, was as high as the inflation was as high as 10+%. Started to show signs of reversing. However, we have unemployment rate still actually going down. We can see that interest rate is still going up. In this case, in the Eurozone, we have interest rate of 3.75%, and unemployment rate is still at 6. In this case, still at 6.5%. So very low compared to previous recession. A very strong job market in this case. And in the Eurozone example, you can see that RSI still is not, it's very far from the 50, the red line, the 50 area, which again show that the market is already So it would be a strong sign to see the RSI as well breaking the 50 zone, so the red line, to show that that the market is actually reversing to the downside. In the Great Britain, it's the same thing, the same scenario. The only difference is that the interest rate is still above 10%. It's not showing sign of reversing. To be, as we can see, it's still at 10.10%. The job market in this case, or the unemployment rate, is starting to show sign of reversing. It's starting to it was a 6.5. It was at 3.5, roughly speaking, 3.5. Now it's at 3.8%, which is a sign of reversing to the upside, while the interest rate is still going up, currently at 4.5%. In the US, we still have the RSI in between, still as high as 70, 72. So we can basically assume that the RSI is still at 80, at 80 zone, between 80 and 100. It's not even breaking the 60 or the 70, 71, 70 area. So very high, barely breaking the 80 zone, and it's quite far from 50. Quite far from 50. So it would be good to see the RSI already breaking the 50s zone, which would give a strong confirmation, like in previous recession. You can see that the Great Britain had an inflation of about 5% in 2008 recession. We reached the 80 and 100 level, between 80 and 100 level, start coming down to the 2% zone, and broke the 50 zone. We had a very sharp decline, but you can see that we are still stuck in this area. The other side is still very high, so we have a lot of space to cool down, and it doesn't look like the market, the recession is giving, is giving a break at this moment. And as a result, as the interest rate is continue to increase, in this case at 4.5%, this already affecting the unemployment rate, so it's giving signs of beginning to go up like it did in previous recession in this case. Although in 2000 recession, the UK seems to it was actually below the 2% zone, which is explained, was actually it was coming actually from very strong inflation between 90s, 90s. It was around the same zone, so the same level of inflation we experienced in Great Britain could be seen around 90s, around 90. So this probably explained the 2000 recession, was actually the end of bigger inflation that happened in the 90s, and with the unemployment rate starting to coming down, interest rate was at around 15%. So yeah, that explains why the inflation in the Great Britain was able to start losing steam and going back to the 2% zone, which actually happened in the 2000s. But with the pressure of other markets, they actually start going below the 2% zone, and the job market continue to slow down with the interest rates, but just to actually reverse and cause another recession. In 2008, we can see that interest rate was actually one of the lowest in between 2000 and 2008. This led to an inflation in 2008, but we see that the interest rate got a little starting to go up before the 2000 to control the possibility of inflation, where they managed to get it to go back to the 2% area, and unemployment rate, of course, started increasing, and interest rate started decreasing. Yeah, that's the state of the inflation in these three particular markets. Would like to show you another chart, that is the oil. So we have oil showing a very particular sign, and similar to the 2008 financial crash, where the oil tanked from this level 140 all the way down to 30, 34. You can see that this RSI indicator already breaking this oscillated line. This mark showed that the market was in the downward trend. In this case, you can see that oil, after the pandemic, we saw the oil rising all the way to as high as 134, and since then we are showing weakness. The oil is showing weakness. In this case, got rejected at the 0.78 Fibonacci level. Is fighting and is not able to hold the 84 level, and already broke this trend line, this long time trend line that comes from 2008 recession. So broke below this line again, showing signs of weakness like he did when he tried to break this trend line again. Got rejected by this 0.618 Fibonacci level at 84, which is a very important level. You can see oil tried to go up, got rejected by this line, came all the way down, broke this 2 Fibonacci level and this trend line, and at this moment it's trying to is going down and showing signs of weakness. So if oil loses the 71.8 level, it's likely to come and test those Fibonacci level at 60 and 49 level. So if 2022 and 23 we're gonna be experiencing recession, this is very likely like oil will show signs of weakness like it did in previous recession as well. So that's it for today, guys. We hope you like the video. This is our first video talking about inflation and a little bit of the oil market and trying to establish similar sign that we are actually in recession or about to get into a recession. We thank you guys in advance for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Thank you very much.